All right, so today we're gonna take this bar sandwich and make it look Michelin star. So let's hop into it. All right, so what we're gonna be doing here is we're kind of just, putting the things around on the board just so it's gonna look nice within the image composition-wise. And then we're gonna be doing a lot of test lighting here. So we're just gonna fire off a couple test shots, kind of dial it in, and see how we want it to go. All right, so how I'm gonna be lighting the sandwich today is I'm going to take an approach with soft light and mix hard light in with it. I'm going to get it as close to the subject as possible, and I'm gonna crank that baby up
to 11.
With the second light that I'm gonna have in the scene, I'm going to be using more of a hard approach, and I might backlight it with some different color to help it stand out, but we'll see. The main thing when lighting that I could give for a tip is play with it. See what feels right, do some test shots. You don't have to be set with the very first setup that you put together.
Set design is really important. You like to set the scene so the product looks as natural as possible in the setting. A key tip that we would always like to recommend is make sure your set is done beforehand. Put a test subject there, set the mood, set the scene, so whenever the product comes out fresh from the grill, you place it down, you know where it's gonna be, you know where the subject's gonna be, and you're shooting straight away.
You want everything to be tack sharp in focus. That's what the client wants to see. The client is not gonna wanna see something with a lot of shallow depth of field. No, that is not the purpose. So with that said, I'm going to be hanging out, and I usually always hang out when shooting any kind of product or any food or fashion between f-stops 7.1 and 11. One of the ways that I like to operate is I love to tether. Tethering is essentially taking this obnoxiously expensive USB cable, running it from your camera to the computer, and anytime you take an image, it's going to pop up right into Capture One. The process that I like to do when tethering is we'll take a couple initial test shots, then we'll go in and I'll dial in a quick look that is going to resemble the final product. And once we're really happy with that, we just shoot. All right, we got the set design done, the lighting done, we took our principal photography. So let's take everything to Photoshop and take these images that we just shot to level 2. Okay, now that I'm back at my home studio, I'm gonna take all the images that we shot at the office studio right into Photoshop so we can add the sauce. So what I like to do in Photoshop is I kind of like to separate each object in the image itself as its own layer. So I can then go in and manipulate the brightness, vibrance, and levels. So whenever you're going to be adding brightness, if you're pushing it too hard, you're going to be losing information in the luminosity of the image itself. So one thing that I like to do to compensate for that is in my contrast, I'll actually lower it. So we're actually recovering some of the details that were lost or could have been lost whenever bumping your brightness up. So now it's going to vary how much you're going to want to bump the brightness up, but it's all about playing it by ear. Everyone has their own style and their own look, and especially whenever you're bringing it into Photoshop, play around with it, just like you would with the lighting, just like you would with the placement of everything that you're going to be shooting. Have fun with it and see what works for you.
So that's it. It's as simple as that. If you want your food, instead of it looking like a fast food restaurant, to a Michelin star restaurant, take some of these tips, try it out, see how it goes, and go from there. If you guys like this video, like, subscribe, comment below. We'll keep them coming.